About 5 years ago, I, 37M, divorced my ex-wife, 36F, after realizing that I was unhappy in my marriage and had developed feelings for another woman, Sarah, 34F, whom I met at work. Though I had fallen in love with Sarah, we kept things professional until after I sat my ex-wife down to tell her I wanted a divorce. I explained that I wasn't happy, that I had fallen for someone else, and that I just wanted to move on. My ex-wife didn't take it well, and the divorce was rough on both of us, especially on our two daughters, Gracie, 18F, and Abby, 17F. They were 12 and 13 at the time of the divorce and reacted very poorly to it, particularly because of Sarah. After the divorce was finalized, I started dating Sarah, which only worsened the girls' feelings towards her. They openly dislike Sarah, and while I have custody of them every 2 weeks, they constantly resist her presence. They go to therapy during my time with them, as I want to help them process the divorce, but my ex-wife refuses to have them attend therapy on her time, even though I'm willing to pay for it. Gracie, being 18 now, can choose not to go, but she still comes over when her younger sister does. Despite therapy, things haven't improved much, and when the girls act out, I discipline them by taking away privileges, but this doesn't seem to change their behavior. It also doesn't help that my ex-wife seems to encourage their negative attitude towards Sarah, making it hard for me to create a peaceful environment in my home. To add more context, Sarah and I have been trying to have a baby for a while. Recently, she got pregnant, but tragically, the baby was stillborn. This devastated us, and we decided to memorialize the baby by turning the ashes into a necklace for Sarah and a ring for me. Unfortunately, due to safety regulations at work, we can't wear jewelry around the machines, so we keep the ring and necklace in Sarah's jewelry box at home. Here's where things escalated. When Sarah and I came home from work one day, we discovered that both the necklace and ring had been destroyed, cut and smashed. Gracie and Abby were clearly responsible for this, as they were smug about it and even taunted us. We were devastated, and I told them to leave the house immediately. At first, they didn't take me seriously, but when I insisted, they left clearly upset. In their anger, they mentioned that it didn't matter because they were going to college soon anyway, and that's when I told them that they weren't getting any college money from me. For context, I've been saving for their college for years, with about $40,000 set aside for each of them. After this incident, I decided they didn't deserve that money, and I told their mother that I wasn't paying for their college anymore. Since then, both my ex-wife and my daughters have been blowing up my phone, accusing me of being cruel and unfair. So now, I'm questioning whether I'm the a-hole for taking away their college funds. On one hand, their behavior was unforgivable. They destroyed something deeply meaningful to me and Sarah. But on the other hand, they are still my daughters, and I wonder if this is the right way to handle the situation. What do you think? Am I the a-hole? It sounds like you're dealing with a very complex and emotionally charged situation, and you're seeking some clarity on whether you're in the wrong for your decisions. Let's break down each part of the situation in more detail. You mentioned that in the past, you've hosted graduation parties for your children. These events were important not only to celebrate their accomplishments, but also because your aunt, who was a very generous family member, would give each child a substantial gift, $40,000, to help with their college expenses. This has been incredibly beneficial, especially since your ex has passed away, leaving your family less financially secure. For your daughter's graduation, however, you decided to cancel the party as a consequence of some behavior that you wanted to address. You didn't specify what her behavior was, but it seems like you felt this decision was justified at the time. Your daughter's reaction to not having the party was understandably emotional, especially because she knew the tradition of receiving a gift from your aunt at these events. When your aunt asked when the party would take place, so she could give the gift, you informed her there would be no party this time. She seemed to understand and promised to give the gift at a future meeting. Sadly, your aunt passed away before you were able to meet again, and your daughter never received the money. Now, your daughter's situation has become more difficult because she was depending on that money to live closer to campus and take out fewer student loans. with the loss of the expected gift. She will now need to take out loans, which you've agreed to co-sign because you feel bad about how everything played out. However, your daughter has pulled away from you, your wife, and your stepdaughter, moving into the basement and essentially cutting off communication with the family. You've tried to talk to her, expressing your own regret, but she remains distant and angry. You're wrestling with feelings of guilt because, in hindsight, you didn't know that canceling the party would result in such a significant loss for your daughter, especially since you couldn't have predicted your aunt's death. You're questioning if you're at fault for the situation and whether you made the right choice to cancel the party in the first place. This situation is understandably very painful for everyone involved. You were trying to enforce a consequence for your daughter's actions, which is part of being a parent. However, the unforeseen death of your aunt and the lost financial support have caused your daughter to feel like she's being punished in a way she didn't anticipate, and this has strained your relationship. The situation is compounded by the fact that your aunt's other children are denying the existence of any such gift, which adds to the emotional tension and feelings of unfairness your daughter is experiencing. As a parent, you were within your rights to make decisions that you believed would teach your daughter a lesson about responsibility or behavior. However, the unexpected circumstances have made the situation much worse than you anticipated. It's clear you feel deeply about this and are trying to make things right, but your daughter's feelings of disappointment and loss are equally valid. She's now facing a more difficult financial situation, and her reaction of pulling away may be due to frustration, not just at you, but at the entire situation. Your question is whether you're the a-hole for your actions. It's a very complicated question because, in the end, no one could have predicted the aunt's passing or the subsequent conflict over the promised money. The fact that you've co-signed her loan shows that you're trying to help her even though things didn't go as planned. However, your daughter is likely feeling the weight of missing out on something she believed was a guarantee, which can feel devastating, especially at a young age. It's possible that her withdrawal is not just about the money, but also about feeling like she's not being heard or understood. If you haven't already, it may help to acknowledge her feelings openly and without defensiveness, allowing her space to express her anger or disappointment. Even though you can't change what happened, showing her that you understand her hurt and frustration might open the door to healing your relationship. Ultimately, you were trying to teach a lesson, but life took an unexpected turn that amplified the consequences of your decision. No one could have predicted that outcome, and that doesn't make you a bad parent, though it does create a situation that needs careful and compassionate handling moving forward. You're facing a tough situation with your friend Carly, and it's understandable why you're conflicted. Let's break this down step by step. Carly, who is 30 years old and has been your friend for 18 years, currently has 7 children, all close in age. Her pregnancies have taken a significant toll on her physical health, and she's had minimal prenatal care with the last 3 pregnancies. This has caused concern for both her health and the well-being of her children. You mentioned that with her last pregnancy, she went to appointments early on but then stopped, which led to complications with getting an induction. Fortunately, her children have been healthy despite the challenges. Over the years, you've tried to bring up the subject of Carly taking a break from having more children. Your concerns have been both for her health and for her ability to manage the children she already has, especially since she has struggled financially and with issues related to housing, transportation, and more. You've noticed that her children lack discipline and structure, which adds to the stress Carly is under. It seems that her mental health is suffering, though she brushes off your concerns, insisting that everything is fine. What worries you most is that Carly wants to continue having more children, and she's expressed the sentiment that she'll have as many as God gives her. You've observed that while she loves babies, the excitement fades as the children grow older, and she becomes overwhelmed by the responsibilities of raising them. You reached a breaking point and told her directly that you're scared for her, that each pregnancy is taking a toll on her body, and that her older children are suffering as a result. Carly became very upset, interpreting your comments as a judgment on her abilities as a mother. She called you a witch and stormed out, and you haven't heard from her since. Now, You're left wondering if you crossed a line by saying what you did. You're questioning whether it was worth it to potentially harm your friendship by being so direct with her. From your perspective, it's clear that you care deeply about Carly and her well-being. You watched her health decline with each pregnancy and seen her struggle with the challenges of raising a large family. You've tried to gently approach the topic for years, but when nothing changed, you felt compelled to be more blunt in expressing your concerns. This is a difficult position to be in because, while your intentions were good, Carly interpreted your words as an attack on her as a mother, which is a deeply personal and sensitive subject. The key issue here is whether it was justified for you to speak up about Carly's situation. On the one hand, you are trying to look out for her health and the well-being of her children. From what you've described, it seems like Carly is overwhelmed, and the lack of prenatal care raises serious concerns about her ability to take care of herself and her children. On the other hand, Carly has the right to make her own decisions about her body and her family, and she may feel that you overstepped by commenting on those choices. It's possible that Carly reacted so strongly because the reality of her situation is difficult for her to face. She may know deep down that she's struggling, but admitting it would mean confronting the overwhelming responsibilities she's taken on. By having more children, she may be trying to hold on to the joy that babies bring, even if that means avoiding the harder truths about her situation. In terms of whether you're the whole, it's a nuanced question. You spoke up out of concern, and it's important for friends to be honest with each other, especially when health and family dynamics are involved. However, it's also understandable why Carly might feel hurt or defensive, as no one wants to feel judged for their parenting choices or their ability to manage their family. Ultimately, you were in a difficult position. It's not easy to tell someone you care about that their choices are negatively impacting their life and their children's lives. While your words may have hurt Carly, they also came from a place of genuine concern. The important thing now is to reflect on how you approach the conversation and whether there's a way to mend the relationship by showing Carly that your concern comes from love, not judgment. If she's open to it, perhaps you could find a way to offer support rather than criticism, helping her to navigate the challenges she's facing with her large family. In summary, your intentions were good and your concerns are valid. However, Carly's reaction suggests that she's not ready to confront those issues, and healing the friendship may require a more compassionate and understanding approach moving forward.